Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News, the unreliable ones. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newsroom and welcome to the Goutopia News Network, your unreliable source for DSP News. This is the Snort Report. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of PSAs before we go ahead and get started. Let's see here. Alright, first things first. Shouts out to Chio18. Chio18 has designed something rather amazing, and in a lot of ways has helped me establish my virtual business, if you will. So they designed a new logo, a Snortbucks coffee logo, which is going to be the brand of coffee, the official brand of Goutopia. It's going to be beautiful. So that's what's going to be filling your guys' cups from beginning of August onward. So that's a thing. If you guys want to check my Twitter timeline, or you can also check LSB for sure, because I know LSB had retweeted it. You can actually see the logo. And for any other detractors out there, you're more than welcome to use it. It's open to anybody. So yeah. So I guess not only Goutopia, but in general, the Detractor community in general has an official coffee, an official coffee brand, and that right there is because of Chio18. So thank you so very much on that. But that's not the only thing, ladies and gentlemen. Chio has also designed a coffee shop background, which will also be incorporated into the broadcast. So that'll be cool. So look forward to that and whatnot. Well, think of it as a coffee shop / cafe, but you know, because we're still going to serve bacon, of course. That's what we do here. But look forward to that in the first week of August, give or take, because I'll officially be back to work in about a week. I'm currently recording this on July 30th. So check that out. Hopefully all the videos have been going up, have been going up on the regular as they've been supposed to. And this is just going to be a break within your news broadcast and whatnot, because I have a lot to catch up on. But we had a lot backlogged before everybody went on vacation. So yet again, thank you very much to Chio18 for that. I very much appreciate it. Next person, let's see, is on the list. Oh, shouts out to Sunspot Gallery, who has designed a new Goutopia shirt. I do not actually have the image at current, but I will when I get back. And if you guys like it, go over there, support them and whatnot. Pick up that Goutopia shirt. You know what I'm saying? It's a nice looking shirt. So look forward to that. Check out also Sunspot Gallery's channel and whatnot. It's a great channel. He's more of an artist, and his videos are actually pretty cool. I think you'll like them. So go ahead and check him out. Also, you can find him on Twitter. Shouts out to Karma Kid. I did see the map that you made. So Karma Kid made a map of Goutopia, and apparently there's two versions of it. The first one is the one that was sent to me, which is just the outline of it. I'll show that in a future broadcast. And then I guess he has another version that's actually been labeled. All the districts and everything are there. So Karma, if you end up hearing this, man, if you wouldn't mind sending that version also to my homie Jackal, I very much appreciate it. And like I said, I will definitely use those. Thank you so very much. Let's see. Shouts out to Aladdin for the 2 pieces of artwork that you've sent. I will use those moving forward. Shouts out to Iron Italian, who I have your fan request, or at least I saw it and whatnot, so that'll get incorporated in. I got you on that. We're gonna go over what is your fan request? You would like to go over the Blip TV situation. That's a good choice. Well, so you're a man of culture, apparently. I've got you on that. No problem. No problem at all. And let's see, last one. Oh, G Money. Okay, so shouts out to our boy G Money. You guys know him. He's been on the channel before. Good friend of ours. So G Money had some interesting aspects that I had brought up in a previous broadcast that we're going to address here somewhat quickly, and then we'll actually move into the broadcast proper. First thing, if you guys remember, I'd asked, does anybody remember when Phil is paid by YouTube? G Money's answered that. YouTube pays Phil every month between the 21st and the 26th. More than likely, Phil will actually have his money by the 24th, which in turn has been spent on gin or whatever else for the house that he wants to hide from people. It is what it is. But that's Phil's time frame. we know for sure that he gets paid by, he gets paid by Twitch on the 15th. The funds are usually released to him by the 18th and then of each month. And then right here, YouTube is paying him between the 21st and the 26th. So that's our time frame, that's our timeline. Hence the reason why the last 15 days of each month, or the end of the month, anything past the 15th, he's not begging for money. Just something to think about. And keep in mind, you still have Patreon in the wings too. And whoever's sending him money behind the scenes that no one really knows about. So just keep those things in mind, ladies and gentlemen. He has to keep up the act with being broke for the first 15 days of the month. Another thing is, did any of you, that G Money also brought up, did any of you guys remember that Phil used to have an Amazon affiliate link? Now, an affiliate link is basically just it's a link that you would use, and you would buy all of your regular items for yourself, not for Phil, but buy all of your regular items, and Phil or whoever the content creator that you're using the link of would get a kickback. It's something that's used even to this day. There are plenty of YouTubers and Twitch streamers who have it, on top of having Amazon wish lists. Well, Phil must have had his between 2014 and 2015. I actually went to look and see if I could find the original video where he announced it. I figured it was going to be either in a pre-stream or it was going to be in a weekend preview or something, or maybe even I didn't check Axe the King, but I figured it was going to be in one of those two mediums. Problem is that all of Phil's pre-streams prior to August of 2015 are gone, as you guys know. Unless there's somebody out there who has all that stuff archived and it just hasn't shown up yet. So with that being said, so if it's on a pre-stream, that's pretty much lost to us. But I did find another pre-stream though from January of 2016 where he does talk about it, because some of the pay piggies or the piglets were having an issue with, one, how does it work? Two, how do they use it? They had some issues, and Phil had to kind of clarify some things. So for any of you guys who are affiliated with the Fight Club channel, we're going to actually go over that. So that should be cool. And the main reason why I bring that up is because G Money was like, the reason why Phil is trying to fake ignorance, which it could be plausible. The reason why Phil's acting ignorant to the fact of why the Amazon wish list is so buggy and this, that, and the 30s, he's trying to divert attention away from the fact that he's been knee deep in Amazon for a while. He had an affiliate link. It didn't work out. He was expecting to make boatloads of money, and it didn't actually work. And so that's a thing. Hold on a second, that's the editor. Alright, sorry about that, guys. So, Amazon affiliate link. So, he might be feigning ignorance on that to try to divert people's attention away from the fact that he does understand how the wish list works. He's also participated in one of their programs like this before. Phil's a very interesting individual. Now, one last thing that G Money also pointed out that I think needs to take, which I think we need to give another look to, is Phil's alcoholism, or possible alcoholism. And some of the things that contribute to that is his mood swings. You guys see a lot of that at night, to be honest with you, but maybe even during the end of some of his early streams, but mainly at night, I think, is what G Money was going for. Outside of the mood swings, obviously his irritability, the reason why he doesn't answer certain questions, or maybe even why he forgets the answer of certain questions, even if he's spoken about it within the past week or so. A lot of the drowsiness that he has, things like that. Some of these are telltale signs of alcoholism. Is he a full-blown alcoholic? I couldn't tell you. Probably not. But could he be a functioning alcoholic? Yeah, he possibly could. So that's also something to think about, given if you guys have watched Tevin's Back in Time streams. Shouts out to Almighty Tevin. You see how he bought alcohol in bulk. His Tanqueray, his Sapphire. We're talking about not buying one bottle, but buying 3, maybe 4. That's not something you just give up right away. And I understand that he says, oh, I don't drink that much because I have to regulate my gout, so on and so forth. If the guy is drinking cherry juice with every meal, you're telling me that he wouldn't try to slip that in? If he has a swollen foot the next morning, whatever, it's you pay to play. But given his stress level and he has no outlets to relieve his stress, to alleviate that stress, drinking has been a good pal of his for a very long time. Why stop now? Thank you very much to G Money for that. Hopefully I'll get him on to Live from the Gentleman's Club, and we can have another discussion about that. Declan Reed is someone I'd also like to get on. Obviously James the Lesser, a few other people too. I'd definitely like to get Jackal on there, see how Jackal's been doing. Speaking of which, with James the Lesser, we have a new video that should be coming out soon, going over conspiracies. That should be cool. I think we're going over the moon landing and some of the theories and conspiracy theories behind that. So that should be fun. So look out for that. And that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. Though the PSAs are done and over with, it's almost like my own personal pre-stream. Yay. But let's go ahead and get into the actual broadcast itself. I hope you guys are doing well, which is probably the most important thing. And hopefully I haven't missed too much, which is a lie. I've missed quite a bit. But as you know, we're going to catch up and whatnot. And there's going to be some slight restructuring, but I think it'll be a good thing. But overall, it'll be the same spurging out. You know what I'm saying? Where's the bacon at? Ribs occasionally. You know how I do. So nothing's changed with myself too much. Nothing has really changed with anybody here at GTG Network and Productions. And yeah, hopefully it's gonna be a hot summer. So let's try to go ahead and have a good time with it, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Snort Report, and this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking. Unreliable coverage that you can't count on at GTG Network and Productions. You guys all know the slogan. I don't smell no bacon cooking yet, and there's a reason why for that. We're just gonna strictly go with coffee and cappuccino and whatnot. I'm not officially back in Goutopia yet, so we're just gonna have a friendly, relaxing talk, if you will. We're gonna pick the piggy apart for a little while and whatnot. It'll be a good time, and then, like I said, in a couple of days, about a week, maybe 10 days, maybe not even 10 days, maybe like another 7 days, I'll be back in full swing. It'll be a mix of the new broadcasts as well as some of the older stuff, because I recorded a lot before I left on vacation. I want to clear a lot of that out, and so on and so forth. All right, guys. So anyway, you guys all know the slogan. It's time to watch me work. Actually, you know what? I almost forgot, and that actually ties into what we're going to be doing today, because I didn't actually announce that, because, you know, I'm off tilter a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here with one of our favorites, Snort Burnell, Dspgaming, and let's see here. No new subs, special surprise in August, and the baby is unable to predict. Now that's what the actual news broadcast is going to be about, and that is tied into what you see on your screen currently. So the part of that surprise, which is a two-parter obviously, is that he's going to be playing Super Mario 64 as a playthrough for a marathon on August 4th. Now, the reason why I say it's a two-parter is because he has another huge positive reveal during that marathon, which he wants everybody to come out and obviously participate in. But you won't be able to find out about it, excuse me, unless you're there for the marathon. That's how he's going to draw you in. Excuse me. I think one of the reasons why he had a hard time, or the reason why he pushed this announcement back so far, is because he was trying to figure out a way to bring more attention into himself and try to profit off of it. And he couldn't. And since Phil is obviously having a couple of, having some sleepless nights and whatnot, makes you wonder who's living and who's head rent free. This is kind of his only real alleviation of it. And in the hopes that it'll draw a lot of attention. And at this point, like I said, I'm recording this on the 30th of July. I heard that he's given amnesty to all detractors on his Twitch. Sounds like desperation to me. We'll go over that broadcast shortly. But there's not... He's running out of options. And as for the reveal, we'll throw some theories out. Not necessarily any Theo theories, but I'll throw out a couple speculations to give you guys what I'm thinking. And we'll move on from there. But this right here, this is Phil's tweet, but this tweet was actually taken by DSP Archives. I keep wanting to call him Dragon Killer. But this is from DSP Archives, so shouts out to him. Check him out on Twitter. If you're not following him, you should, and whatnot, because he keeps a lot of people in the loop. Himself as well as others. But that's what we're going over today, ladies and gentlemen, so look out for that. As you guys know, I'm very much out of practice because I would have done this beforehand. Now, I'll see you guys in just a second.
Now let's play the game! Oh my god! What the fuck?
Holy shit! That is an epic fucking intro, dude.
I have to warn everyone. Warning. What you may see right now is going to be absolutely disgusting.
So that's Friday night.
Oh boy. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are here yet again with Snort Burnell, Dspgaming. No new subs. Special surprise in August. And the baby is unable to predict. Tragic. Truly tragic. Here we go.
I do my weekly MLB The Show stream, and quite frankly, this will determine whether or not I keep playing the game, because last week, I'll be very honest with all of you, I got pretty bored. There's just not much going on in the game anymore.
It's not about the money. It's not.
Holy shit. Now, sorry, I've been out of the loop for a little bit, but he just rage quit Sinking City, right? Or Sinking City, I'm sorry. Yeah, I did that video. So he already rage quit that, or wage quit it. Now he's doing the same thing to MLB. Now, here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. I had said, I'm not sure if that broadcast is actually out yet, though, that eventually these chill streams are going to fall apart. And it looks like things aren't too far off of the mark. Now that I think about it, I don't even know if I've done that broadcast yet, but Dragon Quest Builders 2 has been relegated to a chill stream playthrough 2 now, isn't it? Oh boy. So he's going to knock out MLB The Show, by the looks of it, and put Dragon Quest Builders 2 in its place. I know that there's been a lot of speculation that he's thinking about dropping Blackout, saying something about the Battle Royal genre is going to die out, which, like anything else, it probably will, but he's talking about that's going to die out, and which is stupid on his part. He shouldn't stop playing that until... He shouldn't stop playing that, to be honest, until the new Call of Duty comes out, the new Modern Warfare. But, you know, Phil's the businessman. So he's going to drop that. And what else does that leave him? Minecraft, which has a lot of buzz around it right now because of the situation with PewDiePie playing it. Actually, Memology 101, shouts out to Memology 101, just did a video where Jacksepticeye came out and said that he's having a problem with his views. I'm actually going to probably do like a dedicated broadcast of just that video, just because Jack has a little bit of an interesting history when it comes to the PewDiePie, and more importantly, I want to compare as best as possible how much money is Jacksepticeye missing out on to where he feels like he's becoming burnt out because the views aren't there, compared to Phil, who still clings on to his little 800,000, almost 900,000 views a month, when Jacksepticeye pulls that in a day off one video. Also, Medicare, as you guys know, I think it's called Man Child in the Morning. So it's a morning show that he does. It's a great show. You should definitely watch it. He just recently did a video talking about Monday. Well, he had a segment in his morning broadcast about Monday Matt, and talking about how some of the YouTube money works per 100,000 views. I'm going to have to get that video too. I'm going to have to clip that, and I'll add all that together for the Jacksepticeye thing. All right, cool. So we just putting more on my plate, and I haven't even finished with the regular shit yet. God damn. Anyway, so that'll be a good look either which way. So look out for that moving forward. But we're already rage quitting MLB, huh? I'm surprised he played it for this long, especially after that last epic rant that he had on MLB. I went over that. I'm surprised he kept playing it. All right, well, here we go. Let's continue.
I'm not here to take a paycheck. I see people are doing memes. That's not me, not a meme of me. I'm literally banning anyone trying to give me advice right now. Oh, great. What a great meme. I wonder who that could possibly be. Breathe!
Clean up a man.
Now, actually, that's a reference. Well, it's a reference to Phil for sure, but it's also a reference to Wings. It's funny, though, how Phil will chuckle at that, knowing that it's about Wings, but he won't actually come out and say it. Speaking of Wings, so the Wings report will be back in full effect and whatnot. So keep that in. So for any of you guys who like that, keep that. It'll be coming soon. But also, if any of you guys have been following anybody on Twitter, a bunch of people had retweeted it. White Boy 7th Street, Call of Duty head. Well, he plays a little bit of everything when it comes to first-person shooters now, but he made his name off Call of Duty back in the day. He ran around with those guys like with Woody, X-Jaws, 402 Thunder, El Presador. He was around that little squad, if you will, but he was affiliated with Wings. And in a recent in a recent stream that he did, he had called DSP out and said how much of a bitch he was, because they invited him onto a podcast, and he basically said, I'll get the sound clip for that too. He basically says that, called DSP a bitch, saying that, hey, we want you to come on the show. You know, it'll be fun. It's just a podcast, so on and so forth. And DSP told him, they scheduled it for about a month out, maybe even a little longer, but let's say a month. And DSP said, oh, I won't be available. I'm going to be sick. A month out. Now, I have to go back and look, but I think I know what podcast he's talking about. The podcast was supposed to be, this is after Wings left the Painkiller, the PKA podcast, or Painkiller Already podcast. And he started a new one. It was, if I'm correct, I know somebody in the comment section will know for sure, but it was Wings of Redemption, Jive Turkey, White Boy 7th Street, and it's Eddie. I think it's Eddie something. I used to watch his videos too. I think he actually does videos now with Frito, and they go over Overwatch. They go over Overwatch content now, and they're doing a great job with it. But I think the guy's name was Eddie, and they invited him onto the podcast, and I think Wings actually contacted him and was like, hey, can you do this podcast? You know, we'd really like to have you on. And DSP deflected and did this, that, and the third, and didn't show up. Then, if you look later on down the line, that same day, he was doing the preview. I think, DSP had done the intro for KO Gaming, and he did another video for that. Now, where I draw that from was I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was Secret Life, or the artist formerly known as Secret Life, who actually did his worst of 2000, you know, the worst of DSP for whichever year, and it was in there. There's a segment for it. I'm pretty sure it was in his, but if not, it might have been in a Fred Fucks video, or in his worst of the year. It was in one of those two. So I'll find that clip also, and we'll put all that together, because it's pretty funny that White Boy would bring that up now. That was a couple of years ago, but it was yet again a good example. They put it out there a month ahead of time, a month plus, to make sure that DSP could get his shit together so he could come on this podcast so they could talk to him. They were all on Machinima. Well, most of them were on Machinima at that same time. So a lot of them are brethrens in a lot of ways. So a brotherhood, if you want to say. So you would think he wouldn't mind. He didn't have any real direct contact with them. A lot of these guys did Call of Duty content. DSP was doing a little bit of everything. And you guys were all on the same MCN, or at least most of you. So there's no real threat of going up there. But it makes me wonder, when Wings put out that statement saying that, you know, DSP is not going to come on, he makes excuses, and everybody on the show is basically like, all right, then fuck him, whatever. Is that one of the reasons why DSP has his disdain for Wings? Something to think about. DSP News?
5 has resubbed for 3 months and says, take this Prime sub since you mess with penne pasta. Okay, then.
Penne. Oh, penne pasta is great. I prefer penne because it's easier to eat. You know, you gotta slurp it. It gets all over the sauce. There's something to eat it properly. It's fun and delicious. You eat it easily.
and subs have dropped significantly. All right, we're down to 443 subscriptions on the channel.
Whining, complaining.
We were trying to hit a goal of 525, which, by the way, at the beginning of the month was very conservative of a goal. When we started off July, I had over 500 subs. All right, so we're talking a big discrepancy. You know, a lot of people basically just didn't resub for whatever reason. Now, I couldn't tell you the reasons. You know, all I can do is speculate. My speculation here, all right, would basically be that this...
The speculation is that they had no incentive to sub. There was no reason to do so. And given that gifted subs isn't, well, giving a lot of gifted subs isn't as prevalent as it used to be, there's no need to really bother doing it. I mean, a lot of the people who got gifted subs, they didn't even need to they wouldn't even need to renew their subscription. There would be another, you know, truckload of more gifted subs that would pop up. So all someone had to really do was just show up once a month right when their original subscription was going to go out, and then boom, they get gifted with another. It was beneficial either which way. And they kind of got used to that, to be honest with you. And that practice is kind of screwing Phil even to now. So it's of his own making in a lot of ways. His generosity, as I stated earlier, is killing him. It's funny enough. He was close to 500 plus, he had over 500 plus subs when he made the announcement of the sub goal. Realistically, he only did 525 because he didn't think anybody was really going to sub to him. That doubt basically translated into what it translated into. I don't know. Maybe he should have had a little bit more faith in him. In truth, he should have set the goal higher, to be honest with you. If you're only going to do the bare minimum, you're only going to get out what you put in. DSP News?
This month, if you guys haven't noticed, hasn't really had many high-profile games. Just to give you guys an idea of some of the new games that came out this month. Stranger Things 3, the retro tie-in, Dragon Quest Builders 2, and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Coming up this week is a Wolfenstein game. Certainly not the epitome of AAA releases, and certainly not a lot of things that are going to get people hype to come onto a stream and subscribe. You know what I mean? Now, I tried to get some stuff going to get people excited for subscribing. For example, we had the new Marvel Ultimate Alliance emotes that have been in the stream chat for the past week. You know, I did my best to try to get people invigorated for the month. But the bottom line is, when you get a month like this, okay, when you get a month like this, sadly what happens is, people who are here for the hot AAA releases, they don't come by. They go do other stuff or whatever.
This is unacceptable.
That's silly. So, I don't know about the new Wolfenstein game. I'm not hearing really good things about that. I'm just not hearing anything good about that. And not even on Phil's front, just by other people who actually say stuff that means something. They're like, it is what it is. Dragon Quest Builders still has the fan base is still very much enjoying it. Just because Phil isn't, doesn't mean it's a bad game. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, that's a disappointment. That was really ugly the way that ended up playing out. I had the privilege of talking to Agent Proper about that a little bit, and yeah, it was a complete and total cash grab. Hopefully they didn't tank the series with the third installment, but they didn't do themselves any favors. And I'm sorry, what was the last game you mentioned? Wolfenstein, Dragon Quest Builders, Ultimate Alliance. Oh, and the Stranger Things game, Stranger Things 3, the retro game. Only he liked that. No one else did, to be honest. And really, I mean, it is what it is. Phil kind of has killed off a lot of the interest for those type of retrospective games. He kind of killed that interest off because he wanted to focus on the newer AAA games. He wanted to, you know, going into the hardcore gaming season. You know, the AAAs are what brings people in, not the retro games. That's only for a niche audience, and I need to do what I have to do for my business. You remember that, Phil? I remember that. I'm sure a bunch of other people remember that. Pepperidge Farm knows. With that being said, you kind of screwed yourself on that. So now no one wants to go back that far. Now, granted, if he was willing to put, I don't know, Super Mario World on as a goal or on one of the polls without rigging it as he usually does, maybe that would do well. I'd definitely like, well, I'm not paying him for shit, but I'd definitely like to see him play Mario 2 again, if he ever even played it for the internet. I don't think he did. Or Mario World 3. I'd be willing to play it. I'd be willing to pay to see him. Fuck that. I'm not paying for that at all. But I'd be willing to see him play it. I might even restream for that. But you know, it's it comes back to a type of interest, and there was no interest for that game. The irony is, he loves that game. He loves Stranger Things 3. He loved that thing throughout the whole playthrough, but no one else did at all. He was arguing with people saying that they needed to give the game a chance. How many times have people asked Phil to give a game a chance, or to give a series a chance, and he wouldn't do it because of financial obligations, or whatever the case, or he doesn't have time for it, or he just doesn't want to play that game. But when a game that he likes is around, all of a sudden everybody needs to just go ahead and do a roundabout and just go ahead and fall in line. I don't know. About face is the word I was looking for. What are you gonna do?
I'm not gonna let my 10-year legacy be destroyed because you guys are basically lazy. It looks like we barely even had 300 on stream. Wow. I don't know what's going on. Listen, here's the bottom line, and I'm tired of it now. No more excuses, all right? Because the bottom line is people are like, Phil's not engaged in his commentary, and Phil's commentary is boring, and that's why people don't want to watch the playthroughs of the streams. Bullshit. I'm loving this game. I'm voice acting. I'm engaged. I'm commentating on everything that's going on actively. Bullshit. I call massive bullshit on any idiot who says that. So I've had enough excuses. It just seems to me like people are fucking lazy and don't want to come out to the streams. I don't even know what else to say, you know? I mean, this is kind of ridiculous that I can't even get 400 people for a live stream anymore of new games.
You know, they'll come back.
Now here's the really funny part, because I think Tevin did a video on it semi recently. So Phil said that he's not gonna let his 10-year legacy be screwed over and get killed off because people are too lazy. Right there, he complains about how he couldn't get 400 people on stream, and it wasn't his fault; it was their fault for not coming out and not supporting. Tevin had a stream recently. Not necessarily a back in time, but in that realm, where Phil was talking about he had like, I think Phil said he had like 3,000 people on stream at one time, or back in those days. He had like 3,000 people on stream, and he said that was low attendance. You see what I'm saying about how he takes for granted just about everything? At one time, this idiot was able to garner 3,000 people on stream, and he considered that low. Then he cries and complains because he couldn't get 400 people on stream a couple years later. Now he's barely holding on to 300 plus. Oh, how the mighty have fallen! But yet he wants to blame everybody else for killing off his legacy, for killing off all of the hard work and everything he put in. He did it himself. He didn't have any versatility. He couldn't adapt to the changes in current times. He killed himself. He killed himself, basically, or he killed the business, in air quotes. Eventually he's going to hang himself, and you guys know the rules. Just keep giving him enough rope, keep feeding him the rope like the greedy piggy that he is, and he'll hang himself, and then it'll be baby back ribs for everybody. So yum yum.
Come late August, September, October, November, when all the hot AAA releases, they'll swing by, they'll watch the streams, and they'll subscribe then. So that's my guess. You know, I could be off base, but that's my guess as to what's going on with the subs. At this point, we need to basically get around 80 subscriptions between now and the end of the month in 1 week. Realistically, do I see it happening? Not unless a lot of people get motivated to subscribe, or someone comes and very generously gifts a bunch of subs. I think that's the only way it's going to happen.
It's not about, oh, I'm trying to make maximum money. It's not about maximum money. Again, the only way that I really think that we're going to hit the sub goal this month is we get a few generous parties in here. So, hint, hint.
Hint. That's a meme going around right now, actually. Hint, hint. Now, here's another thing I'd like to address, if you will permit me. So, we're fighting for goals because he needs to have a certain sub count because, well, not that he has to, but he's a partner. So, but then again, there's a lot of partners out there who don't get views, and really. But anyway, just walk with me on this. So, he's wanted to try to maintain the 500 sub count for the last couple months, right? He feels that he needs to, because if it drops into the 300 sub count, which is probably what it's going to eventually, and then into the 2s, Phil himself, his confidence, is going to have a bit of a problem. On top of that, the viewership is already dwindling. Hence the reason why no one's subbing. Hence the reason why there's nobody gifting any subs either. Because why would you want to gift a bunch of subs to a bunch of ghosts? It just doesn't seem practical. And you're probably like, well, wait a second, GTG, doesn't that money go to him either which way, whether he has subs or not? That's true. Yes, actually it does, to answer your question. But if he has people giving him large amounts of money behind the scenes, what's the point in giving gifted subs? They don't need to prop Phil up in his image of being a successful streamer. They don't give a shit about that. They give Phil the money directly because Phil begs for the money directly. His image means nothing. You know what I mean? Keeping up the facade that he's a thriving streamer is foolish. And so why do they need to contribute to that? So they don't. Just like the people who still give the Patreon and don't sub and don't contribute to him on Twitch. They don't have to. This is the medium that they've done it in, and that's what they keep doing it in. One of the theories is that some of the reoccurring charges that he has on Patreon is people who just set it up and walk away. Some of them might not even realize that they still give him money. They may not even care. Similar to Spoony1. He has a lot of people that do that too. A lot of them have admitted to doing so. They don't feel a reason, you know, $50 a month is not a big deal to them. So let him have it. It's someone who needs a little bit more. Even if they don't watch his content, even if they don't really care about what he's doing. Phil kind of fits into that category too. He's slowly but surely going down the ways of Spoony1. The only difference is that Spoony1 has talent. And if he was able to just clean himself up and get his mind right, he might actually be able to do something. DSP can't do that. He needs a complete and total restructure, which means he has to step away from the internet for a while. So if he is hoarding money, well, it's time to start living off of that money for a little bit. It's time to go out and just start living. And then think about coming back to this. As I said about the Jacksepticeye thing earlier on the Memology video, sometimes you just need to step away from it for a while. Just a moment of clarity doesn't hurt. Phil's been needing that for years, and he won't do it. And he's too scared to do it because if he does, then people are going to ask him where the money came from. It's kind of hard to maintain the lie that I'm broke, and then I'm going to lose my house while you're going on vacation, whether mommy paid for it or not. Because even if the vacation is paid for at somebody else's expense, he's still losing a week of work. So now we have an even bigger problem. What YouTube channels are actually making enough money to where it can cover him leaving for a week? Let me give you another example. We were talking about podcasts that he was asked to go on, right? The whole thing with Wings and White Boy 7th Street. Well, there was another individual who put out a video asking, reaching out to Phil and see if he was interested in doing a podcast. I talked about this like 2 years ago, right around the time it resurfaced. And Phil said he was interested in doing it, but he would have to be paid, it was probably somewhere between like $600 and $800 for that interview. When asked why, he said that's what he was going to lose off not streaming that day. So while Phil was gone in Connecticut for those 5 days, who was the one that was who was the one that was compensating him for the $600 to $800 he lost per day over the span of those 5 days? What is that? $4,000? Who lifted the bill for that? I mean, at its highest point. Just wondering, you know. Just that's quite a bit of money to come up short on, even if the vacation was paid for. Just something to think about.
Outside of all of that stuff, something exciting for the month of August, I may have a special surprise / announcement for all of you in August. All right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give any details whatsoever on what it might be. I want to completely surprise you guys with something if it comes together. So I will let you know as things progress, in the next week or two.
Oh, man. Oh.
Yeah, go ahead and lay down that failure for just a second. So, special surprise / announcement. Now, one would think, okay, announcing that Kat's probably pregnant. That's that. As you know, I've been pushing that narrative for a while since the wedding pictures came out. I've been pushing that, which makes sense. Which also makes sense why he married Kat in the first place. That it's possible that she's pregnant and he's just trying to do the right thing. Now, someone on Kiwi Farms actually made a great point. I didn't clip his post. I wish I had now, but where he said that Phil married Kat for the image of normality. You know, someone his age should have well, maybe not should have, but he would believe, right, that someone his age should be married, should have a house. You know what I mean? It's kind of, in Phil's mind, that's kind of part of the sequence. That's what he would consider normal, despite the fact that Phil is far from that. Most of us aren't, to be honest. But that's what Phil would consider normality. If you want to an even earlier example of that, look at when he started dating Panda. Same concept. How old was Phil when him and Panda started dating? 28? 29? Was he 30 at that point? Well, listen, he's 37 now. And he dated what? He dated her for 5. Yeah, he was like 30. He was like 29, 30 when I think when he started dating Panda. Well, you don't think the same concept that, oh, well, you know, I'm almost 30. I should probably be dating somebody, because John was already dating somebody, which I'm sure Phil was upset about. Howard was dating somebody. I assume OJ had a girlfriend. So, you know, Phil was just trying to fill that void to kind of keep himself in the loop, if you will, to keep himself up to pace, keeping up with the Joneses in a lot of ways from a social standpoint. This whole situation with Kat is no different. Now, and like I said, it was a great post. I wish I had clipped it. But it also makes a lot of sense. But then the problem is, not with the post itself, but with Phil and his mindset of that, is if it is all just an image, then there's no legitimacy there. There's no real love there. There's no real intimacy there. There's none of that. It's merely just an image. It's a facade. So because of that, it might explain why Phil's failing the way he is. It might explain why Phil acts the way he is. It might explain why, even after being married and, well, being with Kat for his, you know, what, almost 2 years, over 2 years, he seems to be even more miserable than he was with Panda. And then the fact that Panda recently, some new pictures of Panda have come out. She, I guess she went to like a ramen shop or something, and with her new boyfriend, hint, hint, and she gave a rating on food, and then the next day, our boy Phil was sick, and he didn't feel like coming to work, or he had a hard time sleeping that night, or whatever the case may be. I don't think he actually showed up to stream. Also, is a telltale sign too, isn't it? And since Phil follows the Detractors, he knows all this, and that was a big thing for about a day or two. If Phil is just crafting a facade, it's crumbling right in front of him, and he doesn't know what to do to keep it all together. So having a kid kind of brings that into sequence, but sadly, only the child's going to suffer. Well, Phil will suffer more, but the child's the only one's going to really suffer out of that, if you think about it that way. So that's the first thing. Second thing, as it pertains to a positive, here, let me actually put this up here while we're talking about it. Having a positive announcement is what? Maybe he talks about situation with his finances. Maybe his finances have gotten a little bit better. I don't know if that's going to be true, though, because he's sitting there complaining about how MLB's not doing well, the streams aren't doing well, the new AAA games aren't very good, and so on and so forth. So we know it's not going to be anything positive as it pertains to money. That's not going to be a thing either. What else does he have to talk about? He still hasn't, and also, to go back to the baby thing, since he didn't sell any of those statues, that nook is still full, unless he starts moving some of that stuff into the closet that's in his own room, or in one of the empty closets in one of the other rooms, which is probably where it's going to have to go. And what's going to go into that nook, by the way? I've already given my theory. That's going to be the new room for the baby, if there is a baby, of course. But what other announcements does the man really have? What is he really going to do? He doesn't have a lot of options. He doesn't have a lot to be positive about in his life, under reasonable circumstances. So unless it's his finances, unless the guy talks about a sponsorship, I know that's been thrown around, which that's almost dead on arrival unless that's already been, you know, signed in blood at this point. Outside of that, that's almost completely knocked out of the park. What else can he really do? There could be a new Twitch thing coming up, a new Twitch bounty board that he might go for, and he should, to be honest. He should go for it. I don't know how well it's going to do him, but he should probably go for it. But he doesn't even have the viewership for that really now. You know, I don't know if there's like a minimum amount of viewers that you need to have for something like that. But he's in the what, the low 4s, mid 3s, and dropping. So he doesn't have a whole lot of support right now on stream. So a sponsorship, if you were a sponsor, trying to sponsor Phil isn't exactly the best move. Now, it could be something to do with YouTube as it pertains to some of the ad splits. As you guys know, that's a thing right now. Well, it's been a thing for a while. But for Phil, it's new. This is all new for Phil. It's a brand new world and as it pertains to business. So maybe he's going to change. Maybe there's something with some of his old playthroughs. Maybe the music can finally come back. Some of those Grand Theft Autos. Since there's going to be an ad split in process. Maybe he's thinking about making a new YouTube account. Who could say? But he doesn't have a lot to grip on. But like I said, we'll wait and see what you guys think in the comment section. Let's hear some of your own theories. But there isn't too many options, man. To be honest with you, unless it has something to do with his relationship. He doesn't have a whole lot of options. Here we go.
No, it is not a kid. I've told you guys a million times that Cat is not pregnant, but people just keep spreading the same stupid rumors. It's just stupidity.
I actually like this laugh that's about to come up. But here's the thing about the situation with the kid. That falls into the same sequence about why couldn't he marry Cat, and how he lied to us about that. I mean, what, they got married on the 10th of April, 11th, somewhere around that. You know, that around that time frame. He told us on the 1st that the last time it was brought up to him about marrying Cat, he told us on the 1st of April, April Fool's, funny enough, that he couldn't do it. There was no way that he was going to be able to make that happen. 9 or 10 days later, he ended up marrying her. So you're supposed to take his word that he doesn't have a kid on the way? You're telling me he wouldn't lie about something like that? He was willing to lie about his relationship status. He will actually, just about everything that pertains to Cat, he lied about. Because he lied about Cat even existing. Remember those first 2 or 3 months, those dreadful months, when after Panda left his ass, he was sitting there talking about how he was lonely and he was broke and this, that, and the third, and you know, Cat was already in the wings. She was already in play. She was already on the team. And he sat there and lied about that, leading all the way to the end of the year almost, before he actually talked about that. So you're telling me, and then he lied to us again about getting married. You're telling me that he's not going to lie about having a child? You're telling me that his mother and father didn't say, hey, you're getting up there in age, so on top of the fact that you're getting married, maybe you should consider having a kid? Or maybe they were actually pretty happy at the fact that she was already pregnant, because now he has no choice but to go ahead and go into this shotgun wedding and get married. Just saying. It's just my opinion.
Alright, continuing on. Egg Gangster has cheered, and he says, would you rather have an audience of 15 fans who bring in big tips like Emerald 7, or your current fan base and no big cheers? Here's the truth of the matter, Egg Gangster. Alright? I would rather have a stream that is engaged and having fun and having a...
Basically, Egg Gangster, he wants both. He wants both. He doesn't have... He can't... Phil's mind doesn't work like that. Like, he can't just give you a straight answer. That's why that whole... let's be honest about the situation thing. He can't give you a straight answer. And something like that, that's like having two different types of cake in front of you, yeah? So, for me, and I'm not sure if any of you guys ever had one, but it's like having a butter pecan cake, which is fucking delicious, by the way. Yummy. Or having a peanut butter cake, which is also yummy. And you go and like, all right, GTG, here you go. You have two cakes in front of you, and you can only have one. Now, my initial thoughts is going to be, okay, let me get half of each cake and let's put it together. I'm greedy. I'm sorry. But at least I'm willing to admit it. But that's what I would initially do. Well, I would at least ask. Because why not? You said I can only have one cake, right? So if we take half of one and half the other, that theoretically makes one cake. But anyway, whatever. But that's initially what it would come down to. If not, as much as I love butter pecan cake, I'll just go with the peanut butter because I love peanut butter. You couldn't do that with Phil. Phil would just sit there and ask you, why can't I have both? Not even willing to compromise as I did, saying that give me half of one, give me half of the other, and we'll make it into a whole cake. Phil's just like, why can't I just have both? What's preventing you from giving me both? Do I not work hard enough? Do you guys not know about my 11-year legacy? Do you not know what I've done on YouTube? What I've done on the internet? My 4th place finish at EVO? The #1 ranked Super Turbo play? American, sorry, America. #1 ranked American Super Turbo player? Is that not warranted for me to have both of these cakes? I deserve to have both of these cakes. Snort. You can't ask Phil practical questions like that because he can't answer it. He just really can't. His greed won't let him.
Good time than anything else. And here's why I say that, okay? Because if you have a stream where everyone is engaged and having fun and just having a really good time, then the support is going to come in organically and naturally.
Oh, wait, but isn't the engagement actually them contributing? Oh, I don't know. Looks like we're switching up on the pig psychosis on the fly. Theoretically, the engagement is the contributions, Phil. If not, then you're gonna have to reclassify what contributions are and what engagement is.
Money.
I'm just kidding. I know what he means. I'm just being an asshole.
Money that I gotta spend. Money.
That's the truth of the matter. If you're doing a stream and the viewers are having a good time and you're having a good time and you're having fun interaction and cool, you know, just discussions and everything, then the support just comes in naturally. It does. That's what I've noticed, all right? And that's
he's been watching a lot of Tevin and LSB streams. I know that for sure. I bet money on it. Or at least he glimpses at, well, we know he glimpses at both of them, but I guarantee you that's what he's thinking. I'm guaranteeing it. Here's the thing. Fundamentally, if Phil's having a good time, you by proxy should be having a good time. In turn, you guys should be giving him money. That's basically how his mind works. That's basically what he described to you. He just did it in a roundabout way. I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't know.
That's why it doesn't matter if I'm playing a game and the stream has 5,000 viewers or 50. As long as the stream ends up being a fun stream, those streams typically end up being big successes, all right? Mrhuth helped me out tremendously with those contributions back in December. So again, shout out, wherever you may be, Mrhuth, whoever you are, wherever you may be, thank you. That was a really nice surprise for the holidays, and it really did help out, so thank you for that. So, to answer
wow, that was sad. Anyway, but another thing to kind of counteract his initial point is, as of late, over the last couple months, right? Some of you guys might remember this. Phil has been getting raided. Bad Bunny did it. Destiny did it. A few other big streamers did that. And Phil freaked out. He immediately freaked out with these large influx of people coming in to check out his streams. So Phil, it's funny how Phil bitches and complains about the viewership, but he's probably more comfortable with only a few people. You know what I'm saying? It's like a battle rapper, for example. For any of you guys who follow battle rap, right? You know that you have three different types of battle rappers. You have the guys who do well on the big stage, and that's actually very few, to be honest with you, because that's where a lot of the chokes happen. You have people who do well in a smaller room because they can be more engaging with the crowd, with the audience, right? And which I think a lot of people innately in battle rap are used to that. And then you have the ones that can command both. Command, not do well on both spectrums, but that can command both. And to be honest, to be a successful battle rapper, you need both. You need both. That's why when you go to Summer Madness or Knowns or any of these big events, you have to be able to do well on those big stages. And that's something that Smack and Beasley and all these guys, they look for. You look when you're trying to make a bout with interesting competitors. You need people who you know are going to do well on the big stage or who have the potential to do well. You know what I'm saying? That's why Big K, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent. Just bear with me. I'm almost done. That's why Big K now he's a lot better. But like a couple years ago, they wouldn't have put him back on a big stage because he's choked too many times. He's choked way too many times. And he was choking for reasons that he didn't even need to. Now he's gotten a lot better because I think he's learned how to pace himself. He tried to do too much, to be honest. Whereas now I think he's solidified, he's solid in himself. I'm not even talking about what people think of him. I think within himself, he's centered, and that's why he does as well as he does, in my personal opinion, of course. But before that, nah, putting him on the big stage wouldn't be a good idea. His first round probably be solid. Well, it'd probably be really solid. His second round, it's gonna be pretty good. Third round, he's almost guaranteed to choke. You know what I'm saying? Or at the end of the second. In the second, going into the third, he's going to choke somewhere. It was almost like clockwork for a while. People used to be able to tune their watches to that shit. It was crazy. It was crazy. But yet again, that's just kind of how that all works. As an example, and as a bit of a tirade.
Question. There's really no.
But back to what I was saying. Sorry, I had to take a bit of a breather there. With Phil, he needs the smaller streams, or the chill streams, we'll call it that, because that's theoretically what it is. It works to Phil's favor because he knows everybody there. You know what I'm saying? He knows them. He's probably looked up most of their information. He has an idea of who they are, and he has an understanding, or at least he thinks he does. He doesn't, but he thinks he does. He has an understanding of how to work those people, because that's what this is. Phil doesn't stream to have a good time. He doesn't stream to try to entertain people. He's streaming to you to try to work you, to put you in a position to make you feel, to give you reason to give him money. Because that's all this is for him. It's just a giant cash grab. Nothing else. There's nothing meaningful about it. This, that, and the third. As a streamer, I guess as a YouTuber to an extent, depending on how far you want to take it, but as a streamer especially, your purpose is to grow. That innately should be the driving force for you, is to grow. And yet Phil doesn't seem to be able to do that, nor does he show very few instances where he wants to do that. Now that's a bit bizarre. That's a bit off-putting. Excuse me. That's a bit off-putting if you think about it. Because allegedly this is how he makes his money. This is how he's saving his house. This is his livelihood. And yet he's scared of growth. He would rather have a small group of idiots who gave him large sums of money than have a full audience of thinkers who are going to pick him apart at every little thing that he says in real time, whether or not they have any prior knowledge of what was said or what he said before that evening. And that's what scares Phil. Personal opinion, of course. Dspnews.
Definitive, perfect way to do it. For me, it's just trying to find a way to make people happy. And I know that if people are happy and I'm happy, then overall, the contributions are going to come in organically, and that's what it's all about.
I can't wait for the money.
But it's not even just that. It's blunt. That's very blunt, narrow thinking. You know what I mean? And the reason why it's very blunt is the fact that it doesn't require him to do anything except for play a part, except to act. If he acts like he's having a good time and he can convince a couple other people to do the same, then that should draw in money. Instead of actually putting in any type of extra effort, which is obviously a buzzword. It's a scary thing for Phil. But that's what it all comes down to. It's going minimum effort, minimum time involved, maximum profit. That's exactly what that is. He's just reworded it.
Italian Frog did a 50-bit cheer and said, "You talked about how when you were white hot popular on YouTube, you were able to pay off your previous debts. If you became white hot popular again, well, it's not going to happen, but I guess this is a what-if scenario. If you became white hot popular again and managed to pay off your current debts, do you think you'd be able to stay out of debt?"
No.
In this case, I'm going to say yes, and here's why. Previously, in my previous life before I was a YouTuber or content creator, alright, I made a lot of stupid decisions that were based off of, just me being ignorant about a lot of things. I racked up a lot of debt that otherwise could have really honestly been avoided, and was just really irresponsible and stupid. And it kind of lingered with me, along with other things. You know, I had student loan debt, I had credit card debt. It was dumb shit. It was me frivolously spending on garbage, alright? The situation I'm in today, sadly, is based on me making bad decisions based off of basically incorrect assumptions, alright? You know, back in 2013 and 2014, when I made a lot of financial decisions that were, you know, resulted in me being in the situation I'm in today, I was assuming that even if my income went down to some extent on YouTube, that I was going to find a way to keep stuff going at least considerably close to what the amount of money that I used to make. That is not correct at all. Not even in the least slightest.
I never.
So the answer is no, basically. Now he's kind of glossing over it a little bit, but excuse me. One, during when he actually had a job, he racked up a bunch of debt basically playing Street Fighter. Tevin has spoken about this as well as others. That's what happened. He racked up a shitload of money playing Street Fighter. When he ended up getting into YouTube, he racked up a bunch of debt trying to flaunt his success, or lack thereof. And the reason why I say lack thereof is because he only had a couple of good years. And then that was it. And even then, he had to go out and, throughout his YouTube career, that's where all those business loans come into play. Just other ways of propping him up. Which really all he was doing is just adding more and more onto it. It wasn't just a simple assumption that, oh, I'm going to make this much every month from now on. He's come out and admitted that, which was absolute ignorance at its finest. But also what he was willing to do, what he was willing to sacrifice to keep afloat. And that's going into the business loans, blowing through his credit cards and doing this, that, and the third. Where someone with a bit more, who would have learned from the first mistake, would have realized, I shouldn't keep opening up myself for more and more of this bullshit, because eventually I'm going to have to pay for it. But not in Phil Burnell's world. And the reason why I say that is because look at him now. Is he really paying for those mistakes? No. He convinced the audience to do it. The first situation, and also, as it pertains to the student loans, yeah, I thought his mom and dad flipped the bill for him to go to college. I'm just throwing it out there. But when it comes down to the whole Street Fighter nonsense, right? When he actually had a job, who flipped the bill for that? YouTube did. YouTube paid for all of that. Machinima, to be honest, to be more specific, paid for all that. Ended up, wiping all that debt clean. And you would think after alleviating all that debt, you would want to save some money. He didn't do that. He ended up cashing out 401ks though, or cashed out his IRA or whatever retirement he had for his job. He decided to do that. He thought that was a smart move. But YouTube ended up pulling him out of that. And then he ends up, instead of saving his money, he decided to rack up even more debt on YouTube, right? We're taking business loans out for a YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. For a YouTube channel. 2 business loans, possibly 3, for a YouTube channel. So that's what the situation was that. So YouTube paid for his first mistake. YouTube covered his Street Fighter career. Let's do that. YouTube covered his pro Street Fighter career. Now the audience is covering up, or his fan base, or the pig cult, or whatever you want to call them. Now they're covering for his YouTube career. What's going to happen after that? Which inevitably it's going to happen again. If he's able to pull himself out of this rut, in another 5 or 6 years, there'll be something else. But that's the reality. His pro career, all of his mess ups, all of his failures was covered by YouTube and Machinima. Now, YouTube and Machinima are basically dead to him. He's got even more debt, even more than he had the first time. Who's covering that? The Pig Roach cult is. Well, what happens after that? If by some miracle, by hook or crook, he's able to get out of this slump and pay off everything, you tell me in a couple of years he won't rack it up? He won't rack it up again. He can't do anything else. You know what I mean? After YouTube and Twitch, it's going to be a low-wage job. He's got no other options. Which means what, ladies and gentlemen? To keep his lifestyle the way he wants it, he's going to have to rack up some more debt. Riddle me that. Dspnews.
Thought in my wildest dreams that being a full-time YouTuber would go from being incredibly profitable to basically I wouldn't even be able to pay basic bills. I like how you're laughing too.
Well, it's funny.
And incidentally, it's not like I lost my fan base or whatever. There's still thousands upon thousands of people who watch my videos on YouTube on a daily basis. I'm delusional.
It's YouTube's ridiculously bad business decisions that destroyed their business and lost them all the advertisers that used to make them money. That's why I had to change up my business model multiple times over the years to try to keep things afloat. So this reason I'm in the situation I'm in is basically
So changing your business model was to go out and get loans to keep yourself propped up in the hopes that the YouTube system would even itself out and then you'd be okay again. So to cover up lost money, you're going to borrow money and then hope that you're going to be able to recoup it later so you can pay it back. Huh. College didn't do you any favors either. Jesus Christ.
I assumed, incorrectly, that YouTube couldn't possibly fuck up so bad that my income would go down by a dramatically exponential margin. But it did, because they did do things so badly that they fucked the whole business up. Like, they really screwed the pooch. I don't even know how else to say it. Like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They ruined their own business. So, you know, that's why I'm in the situation I'm in now. You know,
no, you're in the situation that you're in now is because you relied on other people to conduct your own business, which is, by leaps and bounds, a fundamental flaw when you own your own business. You'd never owned your own business. You were a leech on a blood clot, which was YouTube. And when that shit ended up drying up, you kind of just shriveled up with it. You weren't ever conducting a business because you could have made yourself independent of that business. Just as everybody else that's out there right now who were big at one time or another and or relevant and are now complaining about views or complaining about YouTube or complaining about this, that, and the third. No one told you to make this your livelihood. No one told you to take the hundreds of thousands of dollars, in most cases millions of dollars, and not invest it into something. Or maybe, just maybe, actually start your own website, right? Get your own, use your Google AdSense account to get Google ads onto there and basically pay yourself. And then continue to branch out. You guys didn't want to leave the nest because the nest was convenient. Now, don't be wrong, it would be egregious to think that anybody would want to go out, or a group of people would want to go out, buy their own servers, and then host their own videos. Yet again, they all have Google AdSense accounts, so that's where you can bring ads to your account through that. It'd be egregious to think that. But then they all want to get mad because Adpocalypse and all of them got fucked. But none of you guys planned for anything. You guys set yourselves up to fail. That isn't YouTube's fault, because YouTube was never designed in mind with people to profit and make a living off of. The fact that you could profit off YouTube is great. The fact that you can make hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, is great. But the system wasn't set up for that. It wasn't set up for you guys to quit your educations in some people's cases, or to not use any of the education that you guys gained beforehand, to go ahead and just make YouTube videos, make millions of dollars, and spend it frivolously. That's your own fault. Now, I'm not trying to be a dick here and say that, oh, everybody who got screwed over on YouTube had that coming. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that for those who failed to plan, you got what you ended up getting. No one ever plans to fail. They just failed to plan. And if you thought YouTube was gonna be your livelihood forever, that's just being unrealistic. That's what it really kind of comes down to. And more importantly than that, because the YouTube money was so good to some of y'all, what other opportunities did you guys pass up on to basically stay regimented in what you guys are doing? When you get into those type of questions, it makes you really wonder. It makes you really, really wonder what some of their thought processes are. And then people want to go ahead and say, oh, well, they were young, they didn't know any better, this, that, and the third. Fair enough, but Jesus Christ, what about some of these young dudes who are now older and who got all this money in the bank, and when YouTube Adpocalypse happened, they were like, oh, well, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to keep making videos because it's still cool. I have no problem with it. I still have a viewer base. No big deal. So explain to me why this group over here had a plan, saved their money, reinvested it, started something else, and now are just kind of not necessarily living easy street, but they're comfortable. Whereas all of you, well, another group I should say, had made all this crazy money, made it fast, and fast money is never a good thing, but made all this quick, fast money, and because it was all really fast money, nobody had a plan for it. No one thought about some of the basics of just saving it. You guys wanted to go off and buy nice houses, ridiculous cars that you couldn't afford, go on ridiculous trips. Well, not ridiculous, because, you know, there's nothing wrong with seeing the world. Go off on these trips and probably spend more than you had to. Flaunt that shit in front of your friends, do this, that, and the third. And then years later, all those friends that were around when all that money was around, they're gone. All the fast women that were around that shit at that time, they're gone. All the accolades and everything, they're gone. And now you're mad because each video only makes, I don't know, about 1 million to 2 million views. Each video you put out only puts out a million yeah. Each video you put out only gets 1 million to 2 million views, and you're only a step or two from saying that you're broke. Obviously, you didn't manage your money properly, and more importantly than that, at the current, you're living above your means. But no one wants to downsize. No one wants to try to restructure. Everybody hopes that, oh, well, you guys have been around here for a long time. You guys need the support. You guys need to come through and help me out. Because if not, then this all goes away. But then when that is said, ladies and gentlemen, who's really hurt? You as the viewer, who have thousands of other channels out here, if not tens of thousands of channels that do the exact same thing, that maybe you didn't give a chance to, but now you have a whole lot of reason to do so. Or the guy here who's telling you that things aren't looking good financially. If you don't help me, there's going to be problems. And I think that is one of the underlying problems when it came to YouTube. For people who made money off YouTube, for some people, is that sadly, when the money came in, everybody was happy, or ecstatic, if you will. But then when the business aspect came into play, nobody was ready. Nobody was ready. And to be honest with you, that is, in a lot of ways, especially if if a lot of these people who started up from home and had parents, and if their parents knew what their situation was, you would think that would be the case. You know, hey, mom and dad are making all this crazy money. Where were the parents at with, you know, hey, you should probably consider putting some of that away because this isn't going to last forever. Hey, you do have a degree here. You may still want to try to go out there. You can still do this, but still keep your options open because it's not going to last forever. Or were their parents a lot like some of these YouTube parents and were like, oh, good shit, let's cake it up. Something to think about. Dspnews.
Time back then when I was making big money on YouTube, I, again, kind of frivolously spent on a few things. Not too many things, by the way. If you notice, I never was driving a crazy-ass fucking sports car. I wasn't sailing on a yacht. I wasn't wearing fucking Gucci clothing. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't go nuts. And I never went out crazy doing insane things. Although, admittedly, you know, I wish that I
Wait. You don't consider a BMW as a sports car? So if he doesn't consider it as a sports car, then he doesn't consider it as a luxury vehicle either. How stupid is he? You were paying, what, $400 and something a month leasing that? How much do you think it is to lease a sports car then, Phil? I mean, I'm not talking... You don't even want to get into the crazy luxury cars. And shit, a BMW is, to be honest, actually, a BMW is actually considered a step down from, like, a Jaguar or a Lexus. No, I don't know. I always consider them all kind of around the same thing. Yeah, I would say yeah, I would have to say it's probably a step down from a Jaguar, a Lexus, a Mercedes, and whatnot. So, but it's still considered a luxury car, a luxury sports car to be more specific. So what? And now keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, he's tried to downgrade this whole situation by saying, oh, I had the El Cheapo version or you know what I'm saying, or a model or so on and so forth, which no one's paying $400 a month leasing a BMW and it being cheap. I'm sorry. That's just not how that works. That's not being practical. So that's the first thing. Now let's talk about him. Let's talk about where the bulk of his money went, ladies and gentlemen. On trips, you know, which is what we spoke about a little bit earlier. On trips, buying frivolous shit that he didn't need, but he wanted to have it to show the flaunts of his success. He did splurge his money on dumb crap. Not just the statues. He has a video game collection in there that's worth quite a bit of money and won't do anything to try to sell it. He's sitting on a small cachet, if you will, of with that video game collection and won't do anything with it at all. And then let's talk about the amount of food he was eating. He spent a ridiculous amount of money on food. And that's just what we saw in the DSP Tries-Its. We don't know what he was doing on his regular day-to-day. We have no clue. And as some of you guys have pointed it out, because I know I've said it and whatnot. When you look at some of those old DSP tries, I'm going to eventually do all of that because LD has the unhealthy lifestyle series, so we're going to go over some of that, whether on this channel or the other one. When you, as time went on, and you see some of those bags on that table, it just starts to pile up. I had pointed that out with the whole Taco Bell situation, with the whole seasoned fries thing. He said he only did the thing for the seasoned fries, but there was like 3 or 4 of the bags on the table. And Phil is not one of these individuals, especially back at that time. Panda had already left him. Cat hadn't moved in yet, so he needed some food to cover him the next couple days. You telling me that Phil wouldn't microwave a couple of soft tacos or some burritos to cover him the next couple days? You telling me he wouldn't do that? With that being said, he spent his money on a lot of stupid shit. Anything and everything he could. Remember, on all those vacations, even though he was making his little YouTube money off it, not little, when he was making his YouTube money off of it, he's paying for nice hotels. He's going to, you know, 4 or 5, well, yeah, I'd say 4-star hotels, at least in some of those. At least with Panda. He's going to 4-star hotels, if not higher. He's trying to get into the nice suites if he can afford it. They're eating out for everything. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. As well as snacks. And then who knows what souvenirs they bought when they were out there. He spurs his money on a bunch of crap. A bunch of crap that means nothing now. If he would have saved, and I'm being generous when I say this, if he saved 20 to 30% of what he made, he'd be fine right now. And that's me being overly cautious. That's me being overly cautious because that's what I do. You know what I'm saying? If you manage your funds properly, you can, and if you're willing to put certain things up and put certain things off and be willing to build up for it or save up for it, I should say, you'll eventually get it. You may not get it right when you want it, but you'll get it, you know, later on down the line. But that requires patience. 20 to 30% of his income wouldn't have been hard because he was definitely making way more than he was gonna ever make. He's admitted that too. So there was plenty of time, plenty of reasoning, and more importantly, plenty of resources at his disposal. He didn't appreciate it because he was an unrealistic fuck. And it came back to bite him. As it should.
The money that I'd spent on the stupid statues and shit that I've got sitting around my house now. You know what I mean? By the way, you idiots who think that a BMW is a sports car, you are morons.
Why am I toxic? More toxic, more toxic.
A BMW is not a sports car, especially not the model that I had. You guys are idiots. Boy, that is the most stupid thing I think I've ever heard in my life. Every person who just said that in stream chat, you should be ashamed of yourself and just say how immature and stupid you are to think that a regular low model end BMW is a fucking sports car. You are so dumb. Wow, you are stupid.
Over 1,800 milligrams of sodium. This is one of the saltiest things.
But what I'm saying is I didn't run out and buy a sports car. You know, I'm not driving a fucking Ferrari. You know what I mean? For someone who's making the money that I made from...
Jesus Christ, he really is stuck in the 80s. Holy shit, and in the 90s. I mean, talking about Ferraris, Lamborghini, Porsche, and then you get into what's going on now, and that's just Bugattis and shit like that. You're just getting crazy with it. But you really think that a BMW is not a sports car? You do realize there are grades of sports cars, yeah? And you wouldn't have been able to afford a Porsche even if you wanted to, let alone anything else. I just think he doesn't understand how cars work. I think Wings owns him on this one. I wonder if someone will ask Wings that.
1 or 2 years there, might have ran out and did some really dumb shit. And luckily I didn't do that.
Silver-tongued talker, right? Oh, I'm just going to say it one way, and hopefully you'll believe it, even though that's not the truth. And that's literally what's happening here. The guy's a liar. The guy's a fucking blatant liar and lying to everyone. But people are believing it because they don't know any better.
You know, but again, yeah, I made decisions based off of what I was making at the time. You know, the money that I spent and the debt, alright, that I incurred when I moved out here across the country.
Okay, real quick. So, because I know that it's obviously it's a sports car and it's a luxury car. But let's just go ahead and do a quick Google search. Because Google is your friend, Phil. All right. So the question is BMW considered a luxury car? All right. High-end Mercedes, Audis, and BMWs are considered luxury cars. Think S-Class, A8, and the BMW S-Series. as well as the retrospective roadsters. Sorry. Let's see. Even though there are considered cheaper offerings, all of them are considered in the sports car / luxury car class. And it says right here, and then if in another one, are BMW's expensive cars. It says right here, while BMW cars are luxury and high performance cars, meaning sports, Phil, that's what high performance means. You should ask Kat more of that when you're in bed with her, but you wouldn't know. They're not as expensive as a Aston Martin, or I don't even know if he knows what an Aston Martin is, or a Ferrari. But that does not also, but at the same time, it is still considered an expensive sports car because, like I said, they are in different classes, and depending on what you're willing to, put into it, because they are completely customizable. But they are considered sports cars, and they are considered luxury cars. End of story, Phil. I mean, Jesus Christ. Like I said, like people to afford a Ferrari.
Was pretty significant. And it was based off the fact that I was assuming I was going to make a certain income level that I just don't make anymore. And, it sucks. There's no way that I could have predicted that. And, it's just life that it happens. But, no, if let's say, for example, somehow I were to find a way to pay off all my debts right now. Go clean slate. There's no fucking way that I would make crazy, risky financial decisions.
This guy's a pathological liar.
I'm so different. I know so much more now, and now I know, no matter how good things are going, don't count on them going that well forever, because they're just, that's life. Life will find a way to come bite you in the ass. It's exactly what happened with me. Things were going so amazingly well. I was like, there's no way they could possibly get bad, and then they did,
As I've said many times, people will get what's coming to them. It's called karma.
It is what it is, I guess. That's life. You learn. You live and you learn. So I would say, if I were to somehow magically find a way to get a clean slate, which realistically is never going to happen without winning the lotto or some crazy-ass, really generous benefactor coming out of nowhere and saying, I want to help you, Phil. Here you go. No, I don't think I would ever get into a bad situation like this ever again. Because I've learned from my mistakes.
You learn from your mistakes, but you're going to have somebody else pay for those mistakes. Oh yeah, I learned. so let's think about it this way. For example, let's say I crash my car. Okay, let's say I completely crash my car, total that bitch, which would be hurtful, very hurtful. All right, now you guys don't know what the circumstances of me crashing my car is. You just know that I crashed my car. All right, and for whatever reason, I don't think I'd even bring that up. But if I did, let's say I did crash my car. Let's say I brought it up, and a bunch of people contributed money to it, and bought me a whole new car. All right, I got a whole new car now. This accident happened for whatever reason, so on and so forth. It sucks, but thank you guys for helping me out. Now I have a brand new car. Now, let's pick into the specifics, I should say, of that situation. I was behind the wheel. I was drinking and whatnot. Might have had a little bit of the toke in me. Whatever the case may be, which is what caused me to crash the car. Now, if we dig a little bit further into that, if I have a history of drinking a tad bit too much, or go ahead and utilizing my iron lungs and whatnot, and then trying to drive home and whatnot, and I've been able to dodge some bullets, eventually that bullet's going to catch me. That's what happened with Phil. He shows a pattern of irresponsibility, and eventually it caught up to him. He learned the lesson because he saw that he's failing. But in truth, he's not really learning the lesson because other people are paying for that mistake. At the end of the day, he's not figuring a way out of it. He's expecting somebody else to come through with a lot of money, or a lot of people to come through with a lot of money and actually cover the mistake for him, instead of learning from it as he should have. Which means it only sets him up to make those same mistakes again later.
It's like being completely out of touch with reality. They live in a bubble. They actually live in this very isolated world. They live in these weird bubbles and don't live in reality. They just don't. They think that the world is a way that it's not. A little sensitive sissy ninny. You know, they really are. Little special snowflakes who've been pet and, protected by their parents all their lives.
Let's double check sub count before we begin. 442 subs. We lost another sub. Great. Well, as I said, there's not much I can do about this, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream tonight. Sadly, contributions were pretty slow. I'm surprised. I've been doing this now for a month now, where the top contribution basically, earns something in the game, and this is the lowest it's ever been. I don't know if...
Oh yeah, I actually read about this on Kiwi Farms. So this guy, I don't know if this is the exact situation, but he pulled some bullshit on this. And people are wondering if this breaks TOS. Because when he's doing this whole situation where the top contributor of the Minecraft streams, whoever it is who gives the most money basically, gets to have something named after them, or they can choose to name something. Does that not break TOS in some way, shape, or form? That's the first thing. Second thing is someone ended up winning a couple of nights ago, I guess, or whenever this situation happened. And it was like Phil's stinky couch or stench love seat or some shit. It was something along those lines. It was something funny. And Phil stalled on this person. He stalled on him and dog whistled to try to get, or pig whistled, whatever you want to call it, or pig snorted, to get somebody. I like that, pig snorted. He pig snorted to try to get someone to beat this, so he wouldn't have to put it up, so he wouldn't have to name it. All the way up to the point where it was the end of the night. He has to type everything in. He's like, if someone comes in and beats this before I finish typing, you still have a chance. Normally he cuts it off at the end of the night. At the end of the night, hey, this guy won, it goes up. But because it was something that he didn't like, you know what I'm saying, and came from an obvious troll name, he said, but the amount of money was like $13 or something silly like that. He felt obligated to do it, but yet at the same time he was basically, he was pig squealing. I like that better actually. He was pig squealing to get somebody to change it, to get someone to beat the cheer out, so he wouldn't have to put this person up. This is what he's come down to. If that's not desperation, I don't know what is. Who cares what they name it? Name it whatever they want to call it. Name it Phil's sweaty armpits. Name it whatever. Phil's gouty pig hoof. Name it whatever the fuck you want. They just put it up there and leave. No one's gonna ever know about it unless they're watching your game anyway, or watching your videos on it. So who cares? Someone paid their money for it. Is what it was. But he was pissed off, I think, on two different fronts. One, it was only for like $13, I think. So the money was low. It wasn't like 34 or $50 or whatever, because I bet you he'd let that slide then. And two, he just didn't like what was said. So humiliating Phil for a large amount of money is tolerable. Humiliating Phil for a small amount of money that every time he logs into the game he's gonna have to see it, it's not gonna be standard. And he could have done this, which I'm surprised he didn't. He could have been like, you know what, fuck you, I'm gonna take your money. The next person who had the highest contribution is gonna go up instead. He didn't do that. And that's what makes me wonder about that TOS thing. Because when has Phil been cheered something that's been negative and just been like, oh, fuck you, I'm keeping your cheer, I'm not going to read out anything. But he's basically doing an auction here for this. And even to the end, he tried to get someone else motivated to do it, but no one did. I'm surprised he didn't try to screw that guy over. And it also makes me wonder why he didn't try to screw that guy over. That's my real question. He didn't do that out of piggy decency. He did that for a reason.
Just are into Minecraft this week for some reason. I don't know. But I hope you guys had fun. We're almost done. We got like another 10 minutes left here on the stream, FYI, so.
Burn in hell, Burnell. And now I'm going to burn in hell for the rest of eternity because of it. You can't change who you are, I guess. Phil has indoctrinated children who send him money, blatantly milking for money. It's a money pit. It's gone. Just gone like that. In an instant. Fucking gone. I just care about money. I just can't help it. I eBay. Contributions are mandatory, but I need your help. I am appealing directly to you. No decency, no respect, no common sense, no fucking maturity. Is the guy who just doesn't get reality.
Wow. that sums up Phil Burnell quite nicely, to be honest. My bad for that. Yeah, that sums up Phil Burnell quite nicely, to say the very least. If I had to say so myself, Jesus Christ, that's painful. Phil must be really pissed off every time he watches a Snort Burnell video. he must be big mad about that. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So what do we take from all this? In closing, first thing is Phil basically putting good news behind. I mean, I guess you could kind of say it's like a paywall, but certainly, well, it is kind of a paywall because you guys need to come to the stream, and if I had to guess, you have to come to the stream to watch and play Super Mario 64. Let me actually put that up on there. To play Super Mario 64, and then if he gets enough money, or if he gets an adequate amount of money, then he'll tell you guys what his positive announcement is going to be. That's how I assume it's going to happen. So I've given my theories on it. I think personally it has something to do with the possibility of the pregnancy. If not, it can only be something about his air quote business, or sponsorship maybe, possibly. That's really it. He has nothing else. He doesn't really have a life, to be honest. If it isn't online, it is, that's pretty much it. Cat just lives there. So, and being married don't change that, in my own personal opinion. So that's where that is. As it pertains to his just lack of irresponsibility, the sports car thing was funny. I got to tell you, the sports car was hilarious, to be honest. Very, very funny. Very, very funny stuff. As for his lack of responsibility and why he's in the financial situation he's in that he may or may not ever get out of, and if he does get out of it, will he put himself back in? I think it's pretty obvious that he will. You don't just change overnight, to be honest. Some people can, but not Phil. Not Phil. He'll just find another way. He'll just find another way of doing it. Because all of his previous mistakes have been covered by someone else. His parents, YouTube, his fans. The question is who he's going to have left after the fans are gone. So that's the way I look at that situation. Keep your eyes open for this this marathon on August 4th. Maybe it'll be interesting, maybe it won't. I would assume the usual suspects, Lightside Bill, Almighty Tevin, and Dark Dave Mears will be restreaming it, so check all three of them out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm a little bit off base here. It's been a while since I've been behind the mic like this, but it's been fun, to be honest with you. Shouts out to everybody that was in the PSA earlier today. I very much appreciate it. And whatnot, you guys get to see me. You'll see my virtual coffee shop in a couple days, so that should be cool. So yeah, coffee shop / cafe. So that should be cool. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking. Unreliable coverage that you can't count on. Oh yes, a GTG Networking Productions. For the Snort Report, I'm your host / anchor, GTG, and I'm signing off. Take care of yourselves, guys. And just try to enjoy your summer, you know what I'm saying? And whatnot, because the summer's almost over, kind of, sort of. And the grind is going to be back in full effect. And with the hardcore begging season almost here, because it's not really here yet officially, but almost here, the desperation is only going to ramp up in a way that it should, in a way that is reasonable. And I think he's going to be more desperate. He's going to be as desperate this year as he's ever been, to be honest. Especially if there is a kid involved. So, or if the bank told him, or if the bank was like, "Hey, we're not gonna eat this loss. You better figure out a way to get this money." So, you have to wait and see. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it, and I'll see you guys for the next broadcast. Take care of yourselves.